Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to the
Morning.
Kenya webinar. I'm actually Dawn Spendlove, not Stacey. I'm just logging in on Stacey's Zoom account, and I'm helping coordinate the Kenya project for developed training. I'm hoping that most of you will have seen the video that we've been promoting across social media, so it gives you an idea about what we're trying to do, and that you're here today to find out more about it and how you or your organisation can get involved. I'll start off by saying the Rams in Kenya project's been running for quite a few years now, and Paul will tell you more about that shortly. Develop have partnered with them to act as a conduit, I suppose, between themselves and employers with various technical capabilities to work with them, with the idea of it that we can get some real hands-on technical expertise, so that our role is really to help provide skills and expertise that will, I suppose, fundamentally change the lives of children in the communities by being able to have better facilities in place. Developer also committing their support to it by sending 3 members of staff. There'll be 2 technical staff and an apprentice, or another member of staff as the 3rd person to help out. So we are supporting the project as well. So on to the interesting bit. I'll hand you over to the first of our 2 speakers, Paul Newman. Paul works for Derby County Community Trust and has been heading up the Rams in Kenya project for, I think it's 10 years now. Paul will talk you through a brief history of the project and explain what the plan is this time around, and give you lots of further information on how you can get involved. But be warned, he will probably get emotional. And secondly, Chris Adair, who's the training manager at Northern Gas Networks, and NGN are the first company to sign up and get involved with us. And again, Chris is going to explain why he and his business are getting involved and why you should too. Before I hand over to Paul, if you can stay on mute until the end, and if you've got any questions, if you save them until the end, we'll do a Q&A with both Paul and Chris. Without further ado, over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Dawn, and morning, everyone. As Dawn just mentioned, I'm Paul Newman. I manage the community scheme here at Derby County Community Trust, and I'll begin. I've only got half a dozen slides and a couple of videos because it explains a little better. But I'll share my screen so you can see the presentation. I'll walk us through the what is normally an hour and a half presentation in about 5 minutes. So bear with us. Right. I'm hoping you can now see that. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Dawn, brilliant. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Okay, so Rams in Kenya trip, as I say, my name is Paul Newman. I manage the trust here at Derby County Community Trust. And for the football fans amongst you, or to be fair, other sporting fans, most football clubs have a charity attached to them, and again, without going into all the corporate bits and bobs, essentially use the influence of the football club to help the community in any way you can. And we've got 48 projects running across the city and the county, ranging from obviously getting kids into healthy lifestyles right through to loneliness projects, disability projects, and the Rams in Kenya trip is one such program. And again, as Dawn mentioned, this would have been our 10th year this year, but obviously COVID curtailed a lot of that kind of thing, as it did for everyone. And this will actually be our 9th trip next year. The trip has grown incredibly over the years, from the first trip back in 2012 when 13 of us went over to Kenya. We didn't have a clue what we were doing. We were taken by African Adventures, which is the organisation that organises these trips, and they predominantly work with colleges and universities. It was their first venture into the charity sector. They were very much in their infancy. I'm not quite sure they knew what they were doing, but we went over there and had an unbelievable time. The way I always explain it is, you've watched children need sport relief, and I always thought they showed you the bad bits to get you to part with your cash, but that's genuinely what it's like, and the kids are an absolute delight. You see the impact you can have over there. And what began as a one-off trip, as you can see, has grown over the years. We've taken over 350 volunteers over the 8 trips we've been going on. So this video explains it far better than me, and just bear with me in terms of the timelines and some of the references in the video, because this was the promo for last year's trip, and clearly we haven't got any more footage or any more videos to share with you. So if I can just start this, I'll just move that screen out my way. This will bring it to life for you, hopefully.
The thought of going to Kenya, going to be able to help another school, another country, a country whereby they don't have the same privileges as what we do, was one of the main reasons for me wanting to go and do something.
I've always enjoyed experiencing different cultures and new experiences, and I think that was the one thing that compelled me to go, really, the opportunity to actually immerse yourself very, very closely in a culture that's completely different from our own, and also to be able to help with the education of children in communities where they have very little.
Each year, each trip has a different focus on what the intended outcome is. So some years it might be building a new classroom, it might be supplying a school with water, recycling materials to build a new kitchen, providing resources for teachers, providing additional training for teachers as well. And every single year it's about the children, and it's about making provisions available for the children, improving structurally, and also providing them with additional things whereby they might not have them had we not been able to attend.
While I was there this time, we assisted with the building of 2 new classrooms. Previously they'd got the classrooms were all made out of timber and corrugated iron, so we helped with the building of classrooms, which obviously are insulated from the heat and noise and all the rest of it. So we were able to do that, but also wants to engage with the children in the classrooms. I'm quite comfortable going into the classroom, and I do a bit of singing with them as well. I took a little half-size guitar with me, so that was something we enjoyed doing, and also engaging with the children when they're not in classroom as well at playtime, just playing games with them and just keeping around with them. It's challenging because you do see poverty at first sight. I mean, particularly when you go to the home visits. We had the opportunity to go in some of the children's homes and recognise that they live in one room. That's their living room, kitchen, a sleeping area. So there is poverty there, and we get a chance to go and visit the dump site in Nakuru, where there are families, about 10,000 families live on the edge of the rubbish dump and scavenge and recycle stuff there. So I mean, that can be very challenging to see that and be aware of that. However, I have to say it's not depressing, because the people themselves are so full of life that actually it's impossible to be depressed.
I think for any prospective volunteers wishing to go, I think they need to go with the intention of that they are going to get so much from this trip, both for themselves by them giving their time, but also what they're going to get back from it and how that may change their life for the positives.
The main skill, I think, would be the willingness to actually throw yourself into whatever is there and engage with the people, particularly with the children. If you can do that, then I don't think there's any issues. If you have got skills like building skills or practical skills or obviously teaching skills, that is obviously a benefit. But if you haven't got those, that's no reason why you shouldn't be involved, as long as you can actually get stuck in and get involved with the children.
They appreciate everything that you bring, both in your brain and both physically, and the skills that you bring to them. They are so appreciative because they want help to be better, to provide better things as well for their pupils.
They are just so inspiring. So they've got so little, and yet they're so generous and so full of life and joy, and that's really the most inspiring thing each time. And I think that's probably what makes you want to go back, to be honest.
Starting again. Okay, so as I say, both Tony and Lauren have been many times. And Lauren, we actually recruited her when she was an undergraduate teacher. I think she's been something like 7 times with us now. And Tony, for the X Factor fans out there, was the singing reverend of X Factor, and he's the club chaplain and leads on one of the projects for us. I'll come to the other bits and bobs in terms of the drivers for the trip in a second, but there's a little bit more information on where we go. So we go to Nakuru, which is about 3.5 hours northwest of Nairobi. And I always say, the picture in the top right of that slide there could be a picture of any city, but within 10 minutes drive on our little rickety mini buses, you're in the slum areas, which is the next picture down, which again is everything you see on your children need your sport belief. It says there, the gap between the rich and the poor is ridiculous. On our way back, we stop at a little supermarket, and in there you can buy a flat screen TV. You can get a cappuccino from the little cafe next door. But these children, for most of them, their meal at school is their only meal of the day. And that's our driver. We're trying to reduce that gap. And for most of them, education, school is that route out of poverty. So we've been partnered with 5 schools over the 8 trips, and have all got very different characteristics. Obviously, the underlying theme is they need that support and that development from us. And again, as Lauren says in the video, they're so grateful. In Ghana, we've been for, I think, 7 of the 8 trips now. The others have been slightly less, and we're looking to take on a sixth school next year because of the numbers we're taking. But essentially, as I say, the driver is to improve the education environment, whether it be the physical buildings or the quality of the teaching or the infrastructure within them. Sorry, I forgot. This was a little video that the head teacher of one of the schools sent me the other day, and it just brings our little school to life. So absolute chaos, as most schools in any country in the world, but you see the joy in there. And as I say, we're in touch with a lot of the head teachers. They've become friends of ours over the years, and they give us little updates. But just in terms of our drive to recruit each year, that's mainly my role, is to try and recruit as many volunteers as we possibly can. And as it says in that slide there, the common themes really are, what have people got to offer? Can you cope with the environment? And clearly now there's that third one, the dreaded COVID word. And I'll try and just touch on all 3 in the next couple of slides, and then that'll be me done. So in terms of what people can offer, again, I think Tony mentioned it in his video, we just want enthusiasm and the drive to go over there and help. However, clearly the partnership here, we're looking for those, the technical skills and knowledge that you guys would bring to the infrastructure at the schools. Anyone can come on the trip. I think the eldest we've taken 77, and then the youngest is 9. Clearly the skills range within those age groups. But the key demographics really are teachers, obvious reasons, medical professionals for obvious reasons, and then people from the building trade that can come over real technical knowledge. Most of us, like me, go over with an enthusiasm to lump sheets of metal around and wooden blocks and things such like to help build. But by partnering with people like yourselves, you bring over and give us that expertise. But otherwise, it's just limited to our knowledge and the local knowledge, which is very limited. In terms of being able to cope, and again, Dawn mentioned at the beginning, I cry at everything. I cry at the Christmas adverts, but I've been 8 times, and again, Tony mentioned it, it's just not an unhappy environment. So there's no reason for not to be happy when you're over there. I take my kids, my dad's come with us. We've brought people from every walk of life. And of course you have those emotional moments in there, and you have some tough moments, but that's why you go. You know, unless you're, I suppose, prepared to put yourself out there, then perhaps the trip's not for you. But it is not an unhappy environment. You come home and reflect, I think, but I think those reflections make people better people. And my stock phrase is everyone should do this trip once in their lifetime and the world will be a better place. But there is no reason not to do it. You're over there with first-time travellers, so you're going through it with them, or you're over there with people that have been before that can support you. And then COVID is COVID. I'm not sure if any of you have been abroad since the restrictions have been lifted. Kenya's not on Kenya's never, well, sorry, is off the red list. Clearly, we don't know what the picture will be like next year, but ultimately, and what I always say is that if we're not allowed to go, it's not someone's opinion, we're just not allowed to go. And what African Adventures, the organisation that run the trip, have done is they've got a whole new travel insurance policy. So, you know, if the day before you have to isolate, or you have got COVID, everything is then refunded, supported, etc., etc. If something happens in country, again, everything's covered. Clearly, there's inherent dangers of going to a developing country. Clearly, there's inherent dangers of COVID, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in. If the trip was tomorrow, we could go, and the same restrictions and the same processes in terms of, you know, 2-day lateral flow tests when you get back. So African Adventures doing everything they can, I think, to mitigate things within their control, and everything else, obviously, we'll have to work with, and we will make those decisions close to the time. So that's just about me. So in terms of those questions, you know, why you, etc., hopefully we've addressed those. But, you know, just to finish with some little pictures of what we do, and I always finish the slide with my presentations with this to people, is really, why wouldn't you go? It's an incredible project. Clearly I'm biased. It's very close to my heart, but it's an amazing experience, and something I think changes you for the better when you come back. So I think I'm back to Dawn, over to Chris, then happy to answer any questions out. So I shall stop sharing my screen if I know how. I think that's it.
Thank you, Paul. Hopefully that will have answered quite a few of your questions, but if anyone has got any questions for Paul, feel free to ask now, or you can ask after Chris has done his little presentation as well. Okay, we'll hand over to Chris Adair.
Thanks, Dawn. Thanks, Paul. Good morning, everyone. I will just share my slides. Can you see little Northern Gas Networks van? Excellent. Right, excellent. So, Northern Gas Networks in Kenya next year, 2022. My name's Chris Adair, and I'm the Operational Trainer Manager at Northern Gas Networks. And I'm just going to explain why we wanted to get involved with the project and how it came about, because obviously Northern Gas Networks are based in Leeds, and this is with Derby. So the link to the Derby Community Trust, just so you're going to sort of understand, is Develop Training, who are part of the JTL group, are Northern Gas Network's preferred training provider. And up in York, where Develop Training have another training centre, that's where we do all our training with our new starters that we take on about circa 60 to 70 new starters every year. And the JTL group and Develop Training, who are now part of that group, also have our contract for our apprenticeship. So we have 27 apprentices currently at Northern Gas Networks who go to the York Training Centre too. Also, what happened when I first met Dawn, I think I met Dawn first and then Paul later. October 2020, Northern Gas Networks had a visit from Justine Greener, the MP, who is spearheading the social mobility pledge within the UK. And as part of our vulnerable customer strategy and fuel poverty and how we support our customers throughout GD2, one of the objectives was to do something to try and level up the community. I'm sure you've heard that saying from Boris on the news several times. So Justine Greener came to our HQ in October and we signed up to the Social Mobility Pledge to obviously help our communities within the UK. So when Dawn mentioned the Kenya project, this fit nicely, although it's not in the UK, it's in Africa. It does sit with a lot of our community objectives that we hold at Northern Gas Networks. So what happened then was we decided, spoke to my HR director and Mark Horsley, who's our CEO, and we decided that we would commit to the program firstly, and we are the first utilities company to sign up, which we are proud of. And then we decided we would take 3 apprentices. So of the 27 apprentices, we're going to be taking 3 of our first year apprentices. As Paul has said in his slides, it is a fantastic and amazing opportunity for them as well, to do something in their lives. And the skills and knowledge and behaviours that they all are learning in the training centre and out on patch would be great to transfer over. As I say, they're in their first year, so they've got some skills that we'll be able to help these schools in Kenya build things, dig holes, put fences up, build new kitchens, improve the classrooms. So we've got them skills that we want to help improve. On the fundraising side, what we've done is we're in a privileged position to support and pay for the four places that we've secured with Paul. But what I've said to the apprentices is they've and I've spelt raise wrong there, just realised, is to raise £250 each, so that we are flying out with £1,000 to give to whatever school Paul will recommend. And then what I've done is I've got a commitment from Northern Gas Networks to match fund that £1,000. So we'll be flying out with £2,000 in our back pocket to hopefully help one or two schools with, to try and help support and improve the lives of the children. As Paul said, they need this help. And then I suppose it's beyond that. One of the things we want to do is, for me and for Northern Gas Networks, it's not just about this year, it's about some form of legacy commitment of 2022 and beyond. Now, we may get out there, and this year they might ask for something that we can't deliver in the 2 weeks when we're there. But what can we do next year and maybe the year after? And can we pull together? I know there's some people going from developed training, and there'll be other skills and expertise out there. So what can we do maybe is to plan in 2023, 2024? Can we build a better school? Can we build more facilities? Can we improve their toilets, their cleaning facilities, or build them a new kitchen, things like that? So we are committed. So hopefully we'll be going year on year on. And that's my slides, short and sweet. I will stop sharing them. And that's us in a nutshell, basically.
Thank you, Chris. I think it's useful for everybody else on the call to hear why utility companies wanted to get involved. And I think how I got involved in the first place is I help support develop training with the marketing. I support the marketing team there. But I used to work for the football club, so I knew I left before I think Paul started doing the Kenya trips, but I've always kept in touch with them, and I've seen it grow and grow. And I know a lot of people that have been on the trip personally as well, and what a difference it's made to their lives. But I just thought there was that gap between real infrastructure change and expertise. And also one of the things was training locals so that they can, you know, sort of manage projects after we go, so that it's not just if something breaks, that's it for another year. So I just thought it was a really good fit. And I thought, just from how many companies develop training work with and how many other utility companies there are, it just seemed too good an opportunity on both sides, because I think it's a benefit for the people going, the experience they get. And it also, from a CSR point of view, it really helps support businesses with meeting those sort of targets. And quite often companies have got funds set aside for this, but they don't know what to do with it. So it just seemed too good to be true, a partnership really. So I'm really delighted that, you know, NGN signed up as our first partner so that we can get it up and running. So it's just, if anyone's got any other questions that they'd like to ask either Chris or Paul. Is that a no? One of the questions that I got was, if once you commit to this, is there, how, you know, things like vaccinations and all those things, is there other, do you have extra meetings then further down the line where you've got sort of milestones where you know you've got to take these tablets at this point, or what vaccinations you need?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we meet once a month as a group, whether that be you know, in person or virtually, which is the way of the world these days. And yeah, there's key points. For instance, your visa, we have to do that 3 months before we go. You know, just after Christmas, we ask people to have had that meeting with their GP, so they personalise their own recommendations in terms of vaccinations, and you know, you have to have yellow fever jab and such like. So we try and hold everyone's hands. You know, we expect everyone to do a DBS, but we run that internally for people for obvious reasons. Obviously, the fundraising targets are hopefully not too much of a challenge, or are supported obviously by your organisations. But yeah, on a monthly basis, I send out a to-do list right down to T-shirt sizes and such like. But yeah, we support them.
Okay. Any further questions?
The question that I have in regards to this is, what's the financial implications as well as the time implications? What sort of time scale are we looking at, and the financial input that we're required to do as individuals?
Well, the dates are the 21st. Oh, blimey, I've just had a blank. Let me look at my
28th of May, isn't it?
28th of May, thank you. Yeah, so there's two options for the trip, and the reasons we run a 2-week version and a 1-week version is it's the week before Whitsun and Whitsun half term, or just Whitsun half term. We launched the week only trip really for schools. As the trip's grown, a lot of local schools have got on board, and some send students, some obviously send teachers, and it's difficult from getting the times off. In terms of financial commitment, the 2-week trip is 2,680. The 1-week one is just over 2,000. And again, depending on obviously the support from your organisations, will depend on the expectations in terms of your fundraising targets. A percentage of that is retained in this country by the trust, and we reinvest that back into our health programme. I suppose the driver is that the kids in Africa then benefit, kids in this country also benefit, and also that argument of why are you going to Africa to help? There's plenty of challenges in this country, kind of that trade-off, and that includes everything in terms of your flights, accommodation, food every day, your insurance. The only thing that doesn't include is your jabs in this country, and your visa application, which is about £30. It also includes your DBSs. You know, we have these T-shirts for everyone, so we all look the same and such like, and your name on it so the kids get to know you when you're over there. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. I have recorded this, so we will do a link to it, because I know there's quite a lot of companies that have emailed me this morning to say they've not been able to jump on, but they're interested. So what we'll probably do is post this, but then we'll also do an email to everybody that's attended this webinar with kind of what next steps are for you if you're interested, and how you progress it really. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
will try and pass this on to our CBRE management as well, to see if I can get more people interested in this as well from our side.
Lovely. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank
Really
you.
appreciated. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks everyone. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.